It all starts with one question that has suddenly turned into the loudest whisper floating through every hallway of Westminster right now. Who is Meghan Markle without the monarchy? And the craziest part? This isn't coming from tabloids or gossip shows or random chatter online. This is coming straight from the people sitting inside the UK Parliament, the ones who actually write the laws. They're moving fast, tightening rules, closing loopholes, and basically saying, look, royal titles are not a commercial toy, not a brand identity, and definitely not something you can turn into a skill. Global empire. And right in the center of this storm sits Meghan's shiny, ambitious new business empire, an empire her team built entirely on one glowing foundation, Duchess. But the message coming from London? Sharp, cold, brutal. The crown is not for sale, and it definitely isn't for rent. And here's the twist nobody expected. The push didn't come from random politicians. It came from Prince William himself, quietly, strategically, without making noise. He's aligning with lawmakers, shutting doors before Meghan's empire even gets a chance to burst into the world. But here's the part that shocks everyone. This isn't revenge. It's survival. William knows exactly what's at stake, and he knows the monarchy can't keep being dragged into chaos every time a headline pops up across the ocean. For years, William carried everything with this calm royal smile. Everyone thought he was. Unshakable polite nods, perfect posture, that future king energy. But inside the palace, something snapped, something he couldn't ignore anymore. He saw the real danger wasn't from press attacks or outsiders. It was coming from inside his own family, from two people who walked away but somehow kept using the royal glow like a lifelong VIP pass. Insiders swear there was this one silent moment where William told his advisors, this isn't revenge, it's survival. And that was the moment everything shifted forever. Because the painful truth slapped him in the face every time, Charles. Forgave. The palace paid the price. One interview here, one documentary there, one explosive scandal after another, dragging the monarchy's dignity through the mud like some never-ending reality show. Charles still believed in gentleness, in tradition, in giving chances. But William, he realized, mercy wasn't bringing peace. It was making the monarchy look weak. There was one conversation people inside the palace still talk about. Charles whispered about forgiveness and softness. William answered with a line so cold, so final, it ended everything. Mercy is what got us here. He wasn't begging, yelling. He wasn't emotional. He was done. And when William reaches that stage, nothing stays the same. He started reshaping the monarchy with this quiet determination. Smaller, stricter, sharper. No more part-time royals floating around with fancy titles and no responsibilities. No more blurred roles. No more confusion. You're either serving the crown or you're not wearing its name. Simple. And the scary part? He didn't do it loudly. He did it silently, like surgery. Clean cuts. No mess. No drama. Because William wasn't punishing anyone, he was protecting the throne from being treated like a prop in someone else's personal brand. That's when he reached for the quiet weapon no one ever thinks about: letters patent. People outside royal circles barely know what it even is. But inside the palace, it's the deadliest tool. With one signature, the monarch decides who gets a title, who keeps it, who loses it forever. No courts, no debates, just the monarch's will in ink. The last big rewrite was in 1917 when King George V slashed the family tree so aggressively that the only reason Archie and Lilibet ended up with titles is because Charles became king. But here's the explosive part. William can rewrite those rules again once he becomes king. And, according to insiders, the first draft of his new version is already sitting quietly inside Kensington Palace, waiting. That draft says only working royals keep titles. Only direct heirs remain protected. Children living abroad automatically lose titles. No appeals, no debates, no loopholes. If William signs it as king, it becomes instant reality. And that one word, Duchess, is the entire backbone of Meghan's empire. If it disappears, the shine is gone. Brands see less value. Invitations dry up. The aura fades. The empire collapses. And William knows this down to the last detail. People think he made this plan out of emotion, but no, he studied real-world examples. The biggest inspiration? Denmark. Queen Margrethe II stripped 4 of her own grandchildren of their titles, and she did it with zero drama. William admired how precise she was, the timing, the clarity, the purpose. He literally studied her methods step by step with European advisors who've helped other monarchies clean up title confusion. He wasn't reacting to Meghan's moves. He was building a long-term strategy, a new monarchy, sharpened and clean. So when Meghan's team realized what William was planning, the panic didn't start in London. It started across the ocean in Montecito. Hollywood heard whispers before the press did, and Meghan's team immediately understood the danger. Her entire brand, everything from speaking fees to partnerships to interviews, is powered by one thing: the Duchess glow. Without it, she becomes just another celebrity in a town full of celebrities. The royal shine is the product. And if the monarchy removes that shine, the entire machine stops. Her team scrambled emergency calls, late night, strategy meetings, PR fixes, everything. They even came up with a wild idea. What if Meghan trademarked Duchess of Sussex as a legal surname? It sounded extreme, bizarre, nearly impossible, but to them it was survival. But they never stood a chance. William's legal advisors saw it coming. Before Meghan's team could even submit anything, palace lawyers tightened every rule around royal titles. No trademarks, no commercial claims, no branding, no loopholes. The monarchy reclaimed its name not with arguments, but with law. By the time Montecito panicked, London was already calm, too calm. Because William's plan was no longer an idea, it was entering execution. Constitutional experts had spent months building a framework that gives the future king power to define royal status without Parliament needing to approve anything. No votes, no debates. William would have absolute authority. And the first targets? Harry and Meghan. Not because of grudges, but because William refuses to let titles be worn like fashion accessories. He wants a monarchy that stands firm, untouched by Hollywood deals, Netflix contracts, personal branding empires, or celebrity chaos. And the shocker? Parliament supports him. Politicians who used to doubt the monarchy now admire his discipline. Buckingham Palace finally feels stable after years of drama. There's silence, not the tense kind, the peaceful kind. For the first time in ages, palace staff can breathe. William drew a boundary that had been missing for too long. Family is family, but the institution comes first. Meanwhile, Montecito's panic kept growing. Meghan's entire empire, every deal, every appearance, every opportunity was tied to the title, not the role. If William signs the new letters patent as king, Duchess of Sussex disappears overnight. Her fees drop, the sparkle dimmers, Hollywood moves on. Because the brutal truth whispered across Los Angeles is this: without the title, she becomes another celebrity in a very crowded room. Her team tried everything: branding, pivots, legal angles, identity strategies, but Buckingham Palace had already locked the door. And once the crown closes a door, it never reopens it. Her brand wasn't built on stone. It was built on borrowed prestige, and it was being taken back. And the ending isn't loud. No public battles. No dramatic statements. No lawsuits. Just silence. William strengthened the monarchy. Parliament backed him. The chaos faded. The royal machine moved forward without looking over its shoulder. For the monarchy, the message is clear. It doesn't compete with anyone. It simply reigns. And just when everyone thought the dust had settled, the story took another twist, the kind that makes the world lean in a little closer, wondering what move comes next. Because even though the palace had gone silent, Meghan's side hadn't. Deep inside Montecito, behind the calm Instagram perfect life, her team was scrambling harder than ever. They weren't just worried about losing a title, they were terrified of losing an entire identity. They knew the moment that title disappeared, everything would look different. The phone calls, the invitations, the brand opportunities, even the way Hollywood whispered her name in those closed-door meetings. Her advisors started mapping out every single pathway that could save her public image. Could she pivot into a lifestyle mogul? Could she reinvent herself as a global humanitarian powerhouse? Could she become a powerful advocate, a speaker, a personality bigger than the title she once carried? But deep down, everyone knew the truth. None of it carried the same magic as Duchess. It wasn't the work that brought the spotlight, it was the shine, that glow that only royalty can give. And once the crown takes it back, no amount of PR can recreate it. People close to her say she started asking harder questions behind closed doors, questions she never imagined she'd have to face. Would people still listen the same way? Would the world still give her that level of attention? Would the industry still treat her like someone rare, someone special, someone with that royal aura? Because without the title, she becomes something she fought so hard not to be ordinary in a place where ordinary disappears quickly. Meanwhile, back in London, the monarchy kept moving like a machine that didn't even notice the noise on the outside. William wasn't celebrating, wasn't gloating, wasn't even talking. He had something bigger in mind, a future he wanted to secure, a dynasty he wanted to protect. The palace had endured scandals, interviews, public fights, documentaries, accusations, and years of nonstop drama. For the first time in a long time, the walls of Buckingham Palace weren't shaking. They were steady, calm, and everyone working inside those walls knew exactly why. William had taken control. Even critics who didn't usually support the monarchy started admitting that the institution suddenly felt stronger, more defined, more modern. The chaos had been stripped away. The confusion around titles was being cleaned up. There was no longer this blurred line between royal and celebrity. William was drawing the boundaries that no one before him had dared to draw. But across the ocean, the silence from London felt like thunder in Montecito. Meghan's team watched every tiny movement from the palace like it was a countdown clock. They knew William didn't move impulsively. He moved strategically. Every choice he made had a purpose. And if he was preparing to reshape the monarchy, there was no scenario where he let titles be used as branding props. People around Meghan began exploring even more desperate strategies. Could she rebrand without the title? Could she attach herself to new causes? Could she revive her acting career? Could she transform into a global influencer? But every time someone suggested a path, another voice would remind them, none of it hits the same without the royal glitter. The world is cruel like that. It only puts a spotlight on someone for a limited time, unless there's something extraordinary attached. And for Meghan, that extraordinary thing was the title. And the most painful part? She knew that deep down. Behind the confidence, behind the public appearance of strength, behind the perfectly curated image, she knew what the loss of that word would mean. Not for her personally, but for the empire she'd built on top of it. And the irony is almost cruel. You can walk away from the institution, you can criticize it, expose it, tell your truth, shake the world with interviews, but the moment you build a life on top of the very thing you left behind, you're always at risk of losing everything the moment the crown decides to take it back. Meghan is not fighting the monarchy. She's fighting time. She's fighting the fading echo of a title she built her world around. And William, he's not fighting her. He's building a monarchy that will outlive every headline. And that's what makes this story so haunting. Two worlds, two visions, two identities. One built on tradition, one built on reinvention colliding without ever meeting in the middle. And somewhere between the silence of Buckingham Palace and the panic of Montecito hangs that one question that refuses to go away. Who is Meghan Markle when the monarchy finally closes the last door?